Patrick, you know who Patrick Bateman is? Do you guys know the name Patrick Bateman, Rob?
The actor?
Who's Patrick Bateman?
From Psycho?
From Psycho,
Oh, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Good memory, Rob. So can you play this clip? Interviewer is asking Newsom. Rob, do you have this or no?
Yes. Was it in your notes?
It was in my notes. Yes, interviewers asking Newsom that your friends are even comparing you. Watch this one. You're zooming a little bit, Rob. Go ahead.
Patrick Bateman talk.
I don't know, but
I mean, people say that you are like
You
American
serious?
Psycho. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, new scum. I mean, look.
But even your friends like say this.
Oh, do they?
I mean, yeah.
I'm going to reevaluate my guest list.
I mean, there was a comedian that said a literal comic book villain from Central Casting, Patrick Bateman vibes. He definitely had someone killed or may have killed someone himself.
Watch his hand gesture.
I'm glad I still have some humor left. I mean, this is a rough business.
Yeah, it is.
This is a rough, particularly if you're willing to fight.
There's Vinny.
I'm just a
Watch
happy
this.
camper. Rocking and a rolling.
You make up all the Patrick Bateman talk.
Okay. So, California.
That was nervous laughter.
Yes. California voters allowed Democrats to redraw congressional map. Rob, is this it?
Yes, this is Fox News coverage.
Guys, it's officially 4 on 52, I believe. 4 on 50, I think. Go ahead, Rob.
The yes vote in particular with Prop 50. The reason voters said they voted yes on Prop 50, 82% of the case, 8 out of 10 voters say it was to counter the GOP changes, not because they saw it was the best way to draw those district lines. Now, if you go back and look at those who said no to the vote, they said their reasoning to do so is that they saw this as not the best way to draw those district lines, while only 34% said it was to stop the Democrats from adding seats in Congress. A couple other things we're taking away from what voters said there in California. We asked the voters and how they would actually like to see these lines drawn. The irony of this trace is that 9 out of 10 voters, even more so, said they'd like to see this done by a nonpartisan commission, not the party in power. Well, that was preempted with the outcome of this vote.
Wow.
This is crazy. Rob, do you have the other chart?
There is a chart on this. Yes, you have to show this on how they did it and what corner they went to. Okay, because once this was done, let me read this, and then while Tom is finding this, once this was done, California's done when it comes down to ever becoming Republican, especially on the House side. But let me read this to you. California voters have easily approved a ballot measure to redraw the state's congressional map to favor Democrats, according to a race called by AP, marking the party's biggest victory to date in the national battle of redistricting ahead of 2026 midterms. The measure called Prop 50 will replace lines drawn by an independent commission with a map that could net Democrats as many as 5 new seats next year's House elections. Look at this number here. Look at that. That's what happened in California. Holy.
See what they did? They took up Northern California, and they took the
took like
the liberal coast, and they you see those lines, Pat,
of course.
up on top,
Yes.
up. They took the coastal weight. They obliterated all the northern farmers, and they obliterated the area around Sacramento, and then down in San Diego, they basically made sure that the gains that were made by the Republicans down in San Diego, boom, they do it, and then you look at the rate change that was in Orange County. Look at that. There you go.
Wow.
F you.
They need somebody who's a Republican to run as a Democrat and kind of fake everybody out like a Trojan horse. I think that's the only way to do it.
The only way to do it?
Yeah, it's for like a fake Democrat.
So you
who's really
come in,
Republican.
then what do?
You start doing Republican things.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying, how are you going to pass them? You know your House, you know what it's going to be. Do you know the numbers?
No, the House is like a supermajority.
So how are you going to pass anything, even if you act like a Democrat, you get in, but you're a Republican, and you flip and say, all right, I'm a Republican, I want to pass the following
results by county.
I want to pass these following things. How are you going to do it?
Yeah, there's going to be a limited amount of things you could do, but I think across the board too, people who are upset with this, they could run for Congress and like the local Congress and Senate and do the same thing. Like you have to run for anything as a Democrat, even if you are a Republican. So across the board, from governor to House to Senate within the state to judges, like it's the same thing.
But you get.
I do. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
What are you going to? Okay, go ahead, act. Trust me. I have.
Scroll up.
Tom, do you want to just text them, Tom? You just text them. You got your phone with them. Tell them what you want them to do. So do you realize when you think about what's going on right now, here's how I think they thought about it, okay? I think, Tom, they did the following. I think Republicans sat there. Do you think phone call was made for Greg Abbott to redistrict Texas? Do you think that was an accidental one day Greg Abbott woke up and said, let's redistrict Texas? What do you think?
No.
You think there was a phone call made and was strategic?
All right,
I
every
think it was
state-
strategic, absolutely.
I agree.
Every state does it.
Okay, so here's a question, though. Watch the most important question I believe I'd be asking if I'm behind closed doors. You ready? All right. Go 5 years ago. What is more likely to flip to the opposite side? Is it more likely for California to go from Democrat to Republican, or is it more likely for Texas to go from Republican to Democrat?
Texas.
Well, Texas.
the latter.
Exactly.
They started in Austin. It was
Exactly.
moving.
So you know what you do? You're like, guys, if I lock in Texas and then they force we were never going to have California in first place anyways. So who cares? Do it. I think that's the way they looked at it. Let's lock in our biggest chip, which is what? Texas, and let them have California. I think that's truly how it was thought about, Tom. Because if you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
Texas was vulnerable.
yeah, it's not, well, they were going to do it anyways. No, Texas was vulnerable. A lot of weird things was happening in Texas. So in a way, I'm willing to bet even people who live in Texas that were former California people, listen, you know how many people would we run into in Texas that were from California? How often would we run into people from
Completely regular thing.
It was such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're from San Jose. Oh, yeah, we're from San Diego. Oh, yeah, we're from Northridge. Oh, yeah, we're from Pasadena. Seriously. Yeah, why'd you move here? Same reason you moved here. Totally get it.
And guess where we saw most of them?
Nevada's the other one. That's
Nevada's the
huge,
other one that's
yes.
grown massive.
Remember where we saw
Yes.
most of them?
Where?
At our schools, other parents.
That's right.
And they're like, oh, we brought our kids
That's
here,
right.
and we're living here, and we would meet them right at our schools.
Yeah. So to me, I think this redistricting thing that they did, Rob, can you flip on how many of them I think it's 48-4, Rob. If you can find that one chart on what it looks like, California on representative, California representative,
How many they lost?
48-4. No, by tomorrow midterms, by next year's midterms, I believe, because the ratio is what I'm looking at.
okay.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one. California currently has 52 congressional representatives, 43 of them are Democrats, 9 of them are Republicans. By next year, which Prop 50 passed, it'll be 48-4. By the way, do you know who had energy last night? Like I haven't seen him have energy in a while. Who is like kind of like, all right, we're getting some momentum. Do you know who is kind of a
Newsom?
Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you how he sounded. He sounded looser. You know who that is? Obama. Look at this clip here from Obama. Rob, if you want to play this. He's smelling. He's like, okay, maybe this is a chance for me to come back. Maybe this is a chance where no, but you got to realize they had a good night last night.
Yeah.
If you're a Democrat, it was a phenomenal night for you last night.
But not necessarily totally unexpected either.
No, it was not necessarily unexpected. You're right. It's not like, because everybody is saying, well, now, it's going to be a blue wave for midterms. We don't know yet. The reality of it is Crockett's going to be kicked out in Texas.
Right.
And I believe, Tom, who is that guy's name? Is it from Fresno?
Darrell Issa?
Darrell Issa. I think he's going to be out, and he's a stud. So I think he's going to be out. I think Crockett's going to be out. I think they're both, next move is going to be maybe we go Senate, maybe we go play different roles. So it's going to be, go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
A year ago, I remember talking to folks who would tell me, this election doesn't matter. These are some well-educated, bright, people. They say, whoever the next president ends up being, it's not going to affect me. That's what they would say. If nothing else, the last 9 months should have cured us of that idea. Because the stakes are now clear. We don't need to speculate about the dangers to our democracy. They're here. We don't need to wonder if harm's going to be done to
You can pause it
vulnerable
right
people.
here. So But do you look at his
campaign.
eyes, though?
It's
Look at his
campaign.
eyes, though.
Yep.
Go back 1 second, Rob, and look at his eyes. No, play. I'll tell you exactly when to pause. Press play. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. You see those eyes? You've never seen Obama's eyes like that.
They're kind of focused again.
They're focused, but I seek vengeance.
Yeah, anger.
I seek revenge and anger.
Yep.
I feel like he is been humiliated. Remember, the worst day of his life was November 4th of last year.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not saying mom, losing family, all this stuff, but the worst day of his life.
Political life.
Was November 4th of last year. Worst day, because it proved he didn't have a voice. He has gone back, recreated himself, trying to find a way to come back. I don't know how much of that weight he's going to carry or not. I'm just saying. He probably had a good night last night. He had a little bit more to be able to say, I told you, you know what, I was right. I think he's kind of going through that right now. Tom.
You know what's really interesting? You have liberals and liberal headline writers. Democrats dent Trump's coalition with 3 big election victories. The Democrats had a very good night last night, a very good night. But I went and I looked at it and I said, well, how good? Let's look and say how good. And what do we have to do in response? So I went and looked at, let's just take a look at the governors they all talked about. Hey, we got Democrat governors in New Jersey and Virginia. So I went in and I looked and I said, okay, Mickey versus Jack in New Jersey, and Jack Ciattarelli, he got a lot of support from Trump, a lot of support from MAGA, and some money. So Mickey Sherrill beat him 57-42. Okay. So how did Trump do during the election? Well, Trump only got 46 during the election, and Kamala Harris got 52. So 52-46. So it's about a 4-point difference toward the Democrats. Do you see what I'm talking about, Pat? Mm-hmm. But guess what? In New Jersey, over the last 30 years, only Chris Christie was the Republican governor. Only Chris Christie. And Phil Murphy's been since 2018, so coming up on 9 years. So, okay, so you dented Trump's coalition. We've never had a Republican governor in New Jersey, with the exception of Chris Christie over the last 32 years.
Before that, Mary Todd Whitman, but
yeah, but then now you're going back. How many presidents? 5 of them, right? Christine Todd Whitman, 94 to 2000. Now you go back 40 years, almost 50. So then I went to Virginia. I said, okay, how bad was this in Virginia? Virginia, listen to these numbers, they're almost the same. Spanberger defeated Winsome Sears, 57-43, almost the same, like within a half a point. And during the election, it was 46 Kamala Harris and 52 Trump, almost the same. So it's 5 points different, 4.5 points actually, for Trump right now, which shows you, and by the way, only Glenn Youngkin, who became governor and then term limited out. He's termed out right now, term limits. And he came there because Terry McAuliffe tried to come back and be governor again and opened his mouth and said, parents shouldn't control their kids. We will control them from the schools. And he said that 2 weeks before the election. And then everybody goes, wait a minute, that's your plan? And they voted, and Glenn Youngkin beat him by a whisker. He was the only Republican, and it took parents flipping out and a horrible gaffe by Terry McAuliffe to do it, because now you have to go all the way back to 2002, Mark Warner. Only a guy named Bob McDonnell for 6 years was a Republican governor. So these have always been, with a couple small exceptions, Democrat governor seats going back 30 years. So, and the margin wasn't that far off from the presidential election. So what it tells me is this is still tight, but the Republicans did not put up a good candidate in Virginia, not at all. And the MAGA and president's support didn't get you over the line in New Jersey, which means, Pat, we've got work to do. And you know what the number one thing that the voters talked about? Echo the Raging Cajun. They said it was life affordability led by housing. Mm-hmm. Life affordability was number one. So we need the president's jobs to happen. We need that $1.5 trillion that's being spent by companies to build factories and give opportunity here in America to happen, so the jobs can come out of that. That's what we need. And I think 26 is going to be good, but I'm not spinning it. The Republicans have got work to do. Conservatives have got work to do. And we can't just sit back and say, oh, boy, I can't wait to see what happens in New York. Everybody's going to not like that, and then we're going to get a Republican governor. I think that will happen. But there's a lot of work to be done here. But this was not the bloodbath people are saying, but no spin. There's work to do.
Well, make a great point, and that's why the president's so focused on bringing interest rates down. And that's why it's so dangerous that the Fed
makes it cheaper to build.
That's correct. And not only that, but cheaper to take out a mortgage. I mean, cheaper to buy things. So that's why it's so dangerous that the Fed is so obsessed with inflation incorrectly. Not just those points, but there's something else that influences the Fed that they completely got it wrong on. And I don't even know if the Fed knows this. The University of Michigan, as you know, is considered to be one of the gold standards on surveys. And the Fed looks at this. It's influenced by it. So they do a survey on inflation. And the most recent University of Michigan survey on inflation showed that they see the future expectation at 4.6%, which is really, really high compared to, even if you look at the 2.9, which is overstated. Now, we know this country may be 50-50 Democrat-Republican. So you should survey 50-50. And in the past, they have. However, in the most recent survey that showed 4.6, they took 65% of the respondents.
Can they do that?
I guess they could do whatever they want. Especially
65% was Democrats?
65% Democrat, 35% Republican. But here's the key. Republicans see inflation future expectation as 1.5. Democrats see it as 5.1%. It's a huge difference, right? Now, if you were to say, okay, let's just split the difference representative of where the country, oh, by the way, 4% of those Democratic respondents said inflation is going to be 30%. So it really skewed the numbers higher. So when you
apparently vacationing here from Argentina.
Yeah. Both those numbers are the 4.6 and the 1.5. I think are both ridiculous.
Yeah. So when you look at what it would be if we took a 50-50 representation, it'd be 3.3%. But then the Fed would be saying, okay, well, 3.3, not that far off, but if they see 4.6, that's why you get people being obsessed. Inflation's too high, inflation's too high, inflation's too high. This is what influences monetary policy and unfortunately makes it expensive for us, unduly expensive for us in the way we pay for things.
What do you think the rate would be if the Fed had no input at all, if it was just treated like the 10-year Treasury? Because I often wonder what would happen if the market was the one that determined the rate of borrowing.
Well, you could make an argument that we don't need a Fed.
I don't think we do.
If you go back to 1913 when the Fed was created, it was because I guess the government kept getting tired of going to people like J.P. Morgan to save us and bail us out. So
who was the one causing the problem in the first place?
You could be exactly right, but I believe that was the purpose of why we have that. And at times, the Fed has really done a good thing for keeping stability for us. Certainly during COVID, that was probably a good thing to have the Fed. But they have done a lot of damage post-COVID, keeping rates too low, being complicit in causing inflation to rise further than it should have, keeping rates too high now.
I think you could track every bubble and crash to them, though, because look at 2008. They cut to try to rebuild from 2001, and they led to that. So and then they babied the economy from post-08 to 2020.
Analogous to driving down the freeway but looking in the rearview mirror. It's dangerous because they just look at old data. They do not do a good job of looking through the windshield and seeing what's coming.
Well, I'm a bull, not a bear. I think the future looks bright and it's got to unfold, but there's work to do.
Yep, I'm with you as well. 2026 is around the corner. Craziness is going on. For some of you guys that have big plans for 2026, I will remind you, whatever you do, do not go into 2026 without a business plan. It'll be a big mistake you're making. There are way too many moving parts. Every year when we do the business planning workshop, I openly talk about what threats and events we're concerned about happening the next year. We openly share with you. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what we're seeing as possible enemy. And here's what we're seeing as an operator, the opportunities that exist for us. And we openly share it with you. We share with you how we're growing our YouTube channel and our media company, what our consulting firm is going. We're sharing our strategies with you. If you're somebody watching and saying, I'm sick and tired of playing small, I want to take my life and my business to the next level, the business planning workshop on December 12th is for you. But number two, if you're somebody that's running a business and you are already a millionaire, we have a lot of people that watch this content. You're doing 10 million a year, 100 million a year. Maybe you're doing a billion a year. You got a couple thousand employees, but you've gotten to a point where you're bored and it's repetitive and it's just kind of like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. This is a very, very good event to even wake you up as a leader of the company. So quietly, you can kind of get on the business planning workshop. It's not something that you have to be physically here, from anywhere in the world. So if you haven't yet registered yet, click on a link below. Get registered. December 12th, let's spend an entire day together. We go through a 200-page manual together, which everybody will get. Or you can go to bpw.betdavidconsulting.com. Again, bpw.betdavidconsulting.com. Looking forward to seeing you guys there on December 12th. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.